Welcome back to the Nerdrotic channel. My name is Gary Beekler. I am live in San Francisco, California, and I come to you from nerdrotic.com, and it is the Nerdrotic Nooner, starting 15 minutes late. Oh, look, I got my notification. That's always nice. That's always nice. Hello, everybody. Thanks for waiting. Welcome to an early Nooner. I have many things to do today, so I had to schedule this one early and try to fit it in this crazy schedule. First and foremost, I would like to thank everybody who has subscribed. We passed 5,000 subscribers yesterday, just in time. A day later than my birthday, but that was the best birthday present possible. Was passing that up, and oh man, I can't tell you how grateful I am. And the channel has grown over the last year. We've only been doing the YouTube thing seriously for almost a year now. I mean, we were kind of in and out. We focused a lot more on our iTunes podcast, which really didn't go anywhere, and decided to bring the focus over here to YouTube because, frankly, the being interactive is so much more fun, and I think we work better in that environment. We started doing live videos by accident, and it just kind of worked out. At first, we didn't even know there was a chat. That's how lame we were about this. So thank you very much, Cameron, on the congratulations. Yeah, it's been a fun ride. So yeah, I would say we started doing this seriously in September of last year. So we're coming up on a year. And in September of last year, we were at 500 subscribers, somewhere there, about 500 to 700 maybe. And it was actually Star Trek to see. At first, it was American. We had no subscribers when American Gods came out, and then we got up to like 300. Then Star Trek Discovery came out, and we gave it a fair shake. But I was pretty, as you see in those recaps, my opinion of it goes downhill real fast on that, and I was honest about it. And I thought it would kill our channel, but it didn't. Yeah, here's the Dalton Warner. Here's to 1 million more. Ooh, thank you, Dalton. I appreciate that. That's daunting. And I like where it's at right now. Honestly, I can talk to everybody. We don't require, I mean, hey, super chats are always welcome, but they're not necessary. I try to read everybody's. If you do want to get my attention, do what Dalton just did there, hit at Nerdrotic channel, and it kind of highlights it for me, and I can see it there. And I'll get to today's topics. There's only two main ones. I'm going to probably mine around for some news, but it's whatever you guys want to talk about. And that's what the Nooner is. It's just it started out as me practicing to do this stuff alone, just in case like Dennis got sick, and we've been doing it every week since. I think this is probably our 20th Nooner episode. So, and they're doing okay. They're doing okay. I tend to try to make these more positive. We try to be, we cover TV shows that we like mostly, but I do enjoy crapping on Star Trek Discovery. I'm not going to lie. That's not a lie. I am very biased in my dislike for that TV show. And there was an article that came out. There was a couple of them now, just saying, and it triggered me a little bit. It said Star Trek fatigue, and I'm like, oh my god, they are borrowing. I mean, for one, they're borrowing from the Last Jedi Playbook. Not exactly. You got to read between the lines. There's actually two things in this article that really stood out to me, and it has nothing to do with what the article actually said. It's what wasn't said in the article. But the borrowing of the Last Jedi's playbook, that's what they're doing. They're already starting with the fatigue before they even come out with anything. And you got to get tired of something you like before you call it fatigue. I wouldn't call it fatigue. Star Trek Discovery is just bad. Yes, I have fatigue over bad television. But no, and we will get into that once some more people roll in and talk about how this is all happening all over again. And this is the Ghostbusters 2016 marketing technique of attacking the fans. It's the fans' fault if you don't like the thing we put out. It doesn't suck. These aren't the droids you're looking for. Move along. You're wrong. We're right, because we're Hollywood. And we've seen these big companies take over the IPs that we've helped grow and made worth billions, and fundamentally change them, and then argue with us when we don't like it, and then accuse us of being racists or whatever, because we and it's I don't know. I have not in the places I go, I have never seen anybody say anything about having a problem with who was playing it, what color their skin was, or anything like that. It was always the content. Now it's what the companies have done to spin that. It's mind-boggling. It just shows it's finally come to fruition what Hollywood actually has always thought of the viewer, the consumer, the fan. It's just coming out now. This is something that's always been there. Having worked a little bit down there, and I know how they think, and even behind the scenes with the comic book industry, there's a lot of comic creators out there who don't like the fans. Sorry to say that, but it's true. And it's disheartening, but that's why you got to separate the art from the artist sometimes, or all the time in this case. We're also going to talk about the Venture Brothers and the Orville, and this came to mind during our Venture Brothers recap last night. I had talked about how the Venture Brothers, Jackson Public should probably be in charge of Marvel right now, because he shows more love for the source material that they parody than the people who are actually in charge of it right now. So his passion for comic books, old cartoons, just the stuff we love, is ridiculously higher than anybody working for Marvel. Plus their knowledge. These guys, the creators and the people behind Venture Brothers, are fans first and foremost. And it even goes to Bed Edlin and the Tick when they used to work with the Tick. Yes, they are making fun of superheroes, but it's done with love. And the Orville does a very similar thing. It is a parody of Star Trek, but it is a parody with absolute love and knowledge and respect of the source material. Something that the people in charge, Alex Kurtzman, CB Cebulski, everybody at Marvel, do not have respect for this. As a matter of fact, they find it problematic. So that is a problem in itself. So that's the kind of stuff I want to address, especially since that I'm going to be, selling pop culture again here pretty soon, in a few short months, or maybe sooner. Who knows? I made my living for 10 years selling comic books. Made a pretty decent living. Was able to, pay a mortgage, help with the family. Got a couple kids. One of them is about to move. Actually, he's moving next weekend. He's moving out of the house. Fly, little birdie. And I'm torn on this one. I'm very sad to see him go, because I actually like him, but he really needs to go. So it's time. It is time. But Mom was packing him up yesterday. I had a great day yesterday. Today is the first day of school for Nerdrotic Jr. And Nerdrotic Jr. and I went out to Santa Cruz. And I've lived here in the Bay Area for 16 years, and I'd never been to Santa Cruz. So I went to Santa Cruz. I love Lost Boys. Lost Boys is one of my favorite movies. So did the little Lost Boys thing, went to the boardwalk, went to the pier, and then I went to Atlanta's Fantasy World Comic Shop, which is the comic shop in Lost Boys, and it's still around. They even have a prop of the comic book that was when they were when the Frog Brothers or whatever were reading in bed. They have that prop, and you could take a picture of it, and it's a pretty cool comic store. It's been around forever. Bought some stuff, as a matter of fact. Not to show off too much though, but this is awesome. I got the Prisoner edition, Gil Kane, Jack Kirby. This is sick. Went and gave him some money and had a good time. Walked around the beach. Santa Cruz, it's a weird town. It's such a weird town. It's like you have to drive. Okay, if you're not familiar with it, you have to drive over this mountain range, and it's a beach right at the bottom of a mountain range. It's got a beautiful, beautiful beaches. And I'm from Encinitas, California, which has some of the most beautiful beaches in the world. And I would put that right up there with it, and hung out. The weather was great. It is foggy everywhere here. It's 55 degrees right now in San Francisco. And we had a great day hanging out with my son. He's right now. The book he picked out on his own, I was so happy. He was in the comic store and he's like, "Dad, I really want to buy this." And it was 300 by Frank Miller, and little tear came out. I'm like, I love you, son. So yeah, and he like right as soon as we got home, he read the whole thing and said he loved it, and yeah, it was good stuff. So let's get to the chat here before we move on to our articles. And I do have a lot. My appointment is at 1, so we got a couple hours. Got a couple hours to kill, everybody. Hello, random game user 42. Santa Cruz was amazing. I did that when I went. I didn't get to go to the comic store though. Just the boardwalk. Yes, the boardwalk was awesome. I also had went to Betty's, had a Betty burger. It was pretty damn good. Their garlic fries, top notch. If you're a meat eater. Burnfred Axe Wielder. Burnfred Axe Wielder. Sorry, Burnfred. I hate CBS. I really do. I don't want to promote violence, but should the earth open up and swallow CBS whole, I would stand next to the hole, point my finger, and laugh my ass off. Me too. Metaphorically speaking, of course. No, actually, we want the earth to open up and suck them in. What's up, JP? What's up, Mako? How are you? I remember when the Enterprise came out and some fans removed Archer from the anniversary pamphlets because it wasn't a real captain. Well, since Star Trek Discovery, Enterprise has gotten kind of a boom in popularity, Mako. I would say that I think a lot more people appreciate Enterprise, myself included, for what it was. I was not a fan. I hated that theme song. And the first 2 seasons were kind of, it rallied a bit though, Mako. Heck, you might have been one of the ones who was telling me to watch it. I was like, okay, I'll watch it. And well, to be completely honest, the studio has always fought with Star Trek fans, so that's not something new. Maybe the internet makes it seem more important than it is. The internet kind of does that, Mako, and that's kind of the whole point. But it also, I think the internet is also good for bringing to light problems that were kind of swept under the rug and easier to hide. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, Mako. It's a double-edged sword because the internet does bring a lot of things to light nowadays that we didn't know about, and I don't know if that's a good thing or not. That's an open-ended question right now. Because if especially if you're young and you take a look at the world and you're like, oh my God, or if you're older and you start seeing the internet and you see, I don't watch the news every day. So I try to be happy. So I don't watch the news. And if you watch the news nowadays, it probably seems like the world is just going to hell, but it's just always been like that. Now we just know about it now. That's all. It's the same fallacy of the old guard film press to do with superhero genre. They make everything variable except merit, says Dalt Mortar. Yep. Merit's a bad word now. That's a bad word. That's trying to accuse Trekkies of racism may be the dumbest tactic in the history of dumb tactics. Racism is antithetical to Trekism. Shifty, well spoken. Well spoken. It is really stupid, but they're going to try. I'm seeing the early. We're seeing this the game plan play out right in front of us right now. Now, hopefully, they don't go down this road, but I think they will. I talked about this in our Last Jedi review that I did with. We did 2 of them, so it was one of the Last Jedi. It was either with my co-host John Reed or the one we did afterwards. My thumbnail on it is Michael Douglas falling down, except it's got Luke Skywalker's head on him, and he's holding a lightsaber and a briefcase. I kind of saw this coming with Star Wars. A lot of people liked Force Awakens. When I first saw it, I didn't. Saw it again, I'm like, maybe my nostalgia started kicking. I'm like, maybe I kind of liked it. Then I watched it again. I'm like, nope, I hate it. Dennis, for the record, always hated it. And I think The Last Jedi brought out the feelings that a lot of people were kind of questioning when they saw The Force Awakens. They were like, I don't know. At least it was like a well put together film. Like The Last Jedi is such a mess. Like just technically, it's a bad movie. And we saw this back then. I saw that, man, Star Wars is going to go through what Marvel Comics is going through, and not a ton of people read comics. I'm sorry to say, and we had already been going through months of the whole comic book thing, and Star Wars on a much bigger level has gone through the same exact thing. All right, so it started with video games, then a little bit with Ghostbusters, then Marvel Comics, and then Star Wars. And I don't think, as because Star Trek unfortunately is not as popular as Star Wars, which is very sad. But it won't be as big. But I think that's when that rolls around in a few months, we'll see what happens. Now, if they course correct and we get great stories, then we'll all shut up. We'll all shut up, or at least I will. I'll shut up and watch Star Trek, and it's going to be really hard for me. Like, even if they course correct and do great stories, it's going to be really hard for me to buy some of these characters. Yeah, unless they like go through time and start completely over. I don't know. Last Jedi made Force Awakens worse because it ignored everything it set up. It did. And the things it set up, I'll give The Force Awakens this. It set up a couple intriguing things that was like, okay, if they follow up on this, I could be interested. I could be mildly. I think I remember even seeing the Last Jedi trailer going, okay, that kind of looks like an improvement. That looks kind of interesting. I mean, there's a lot of repeated stuff. It looks like they're going to try to be Empire, and it turns out they tried to be Empire and Jedi. But I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I wasn't a fan of like the lightsaber, the whole lightsaber thing, the whole Excalibur thing. I was nah. But Snoke, I was like, I'm mildly interested in Snoke. Like, what's he about? Like, they killed that one, so I was like, Trek fans dream of dating green animal women. Racist? Please, I do. I'm a big fan of the play Wicked, because I like green women. I do. It's a weird fetish that I've talked about openly before on the podcast. Once a year, I make my wife wear all green makeup, and I'm just kidding. She does. What's up, Love Pond? Lane Bachelor, hello. How's it going? Snake 56. I agree. I noticed a lot of Trek fans are starting to enjoy ENT. They are. I am one of them. After a bad Star Trek, you're like, maybe maybe Nemesis wasn't that bad. Maybe Insurrection wasn't just an episode in a movie. I could go back and really enjoy Insurrection now for what it is, because it was Star Trek. I mean, it was basically a 2-hour episode that they maybe paid. Well, at the time, it wasn't that much. It was like $6. I think I saw it for $2. There was a $2 movie theater in Escondido at the time, but oh my God. So there's 2 articles that came out. One was written by somebody I know, so I'm not going to bash that one because I know her, and she's nice, and she's a huge fan. I think she's actually, and when I say one of us, somebody who probably not the biggest fan of Star Trek Discovery. And she wrote it for Bleeding Cool. It's Marianne Butler, known as Mab. And then there's a comicbook.com one that really inserts a lot of puts a lot of words in Ronald D Moore's mouth. So this article, the great creator of Battlestar Galactica, the great former writer of Star Trek, Ronald D Moore, the man who I think should be in charge of Star Trek right now, how Alex Kurtzman is in charge of Star Trek and Ronald D Moore isn't. Either Ronald D Moore turned it down, or they weren't smart enough to ask him, or I have no idea, or they did, or maybe they felt like he was the old guard and they need something new, and he does address that a little bit. But it's clear what he doesn't say. That's the most important part of this article, so I'll get to it. Let's go there right now. And then after we do this, we'll do the Venture Brothers and my absolute love of the Venture Brothers. My God, the last 3 episodes were so goddamn good. Venture Brothers can run forever at this pace, in my opinion. So here we go. It's comicbook.com. And Star Trek writer Ronald D Moore on fear of franchise fatigue. And there's a bunch of like word count, word salad stuff in here. I'm going to try to pass up, but in 2005, Star Trek Enterprise aired its final episode, and with no new films or television series in development, the Star Trek franchise seemingly came to an end. Most fans would agree that Star Trek was a victim of a phenomenon known as franchise fatigue. And in this case, I'm interjecting here, it was true. This is actually the one true case of franchise fatigue. Could Star Trek be on the verge of making the same mistake? No. I'll say no, emphatically no. And then, of course, it tells us what franchise fatigue because we're all idiots. Franchise fatigue is what happens when too much of a certain intellectual property is produced in too short of a time period without distinction between products, causing many fans to lose their appetite for it. It feels a bit surprising to be talking about Star Trek in such terms again, since between 2006 and 2016, the only official entries into the Star Trek franchise was 3 films that take place in the Kelvin timeline, the wonderful Kelvin timeline. But with the debut of Star Trek Discovery on CBS All Access in 2017, the announcement of Patrick Stewart's return to the role as Jean-Luc Picard in the new Star Trek series, CBS intentions to have new Star Trek releasing all year around, and Paramount trying to get multiple Star Trek movies off the ground. Some fans have begun to worry that Star Trek's return is verging on too much, too fast. Ronald D Moore is a veteran writer of science fiction television series, who was one of the key voices during Star Trek's golden age of the 1990s. Is that the golden age? I guess you can argue that. I would maybe the Silver Age, but okay, whatever. Writing first for the Star Trek: The Next Generation before moving on to the great Deep Space Nine, recalls it when it was like Star Trek ran out of steam in the mid-2000s. When you say something like franchise fatigue, to me, it means that particular flavor is run dry, Moore said during a panel at the Star Trek Las Vegas Via Trek movie. To mix my metaphors, essentially the way you do Star Trek, the way of telling a story, and the kinds of stories that run its course. You could see it in the shows. It had fatigue. It was tired. It was really engaging. It wasn't really engaging anymore, and it felt like it was just standing in place. I totally agree. Star Trek had let's admit, okay, while I still enjoy all of it, it had a bit of a stick up its butt, and it lost its moxie to me anyway. I'm an original series fan, so the original series had that 60s moxie, which is not a bad thing. And I don't know, it's the Han Solo factor. It lost the cool factor. Okay. And the key to fighting franchise fatigue, according to Moore, is bringing in new talent with ideas and willingness to change up the rules of the franchise. Then it gets reinvented, and then you bring in new people, and you bring in new ideas, and you change up the parameters, and you get all reinvigorated again. So no, it's not so much about volume. It's not really about how many shows you put out. It's really about, are you able to still engage the audience and make them it seem fresh and exciting? Once you're in the same place and doing the same thing time after time, which is what Star Trek franchise started to feel like by the time that Enterprise ended, it just felt the same and didn't really feel new. Then it's time for a big change, and it's time to go follow for a while and plant the ground all over again. And then this is where the writer interjects this. This is not Marianne Butler, by the way. This is pretty much exactly what Star Trek has done. What? The franchise had little choice but to go follow after Enterprise, and went, which I agree with. I just don't think they did that. And when it returned 4 years later and introduced a very different flavor, it was entirely new timeline in 2009 Star Trek. Similarly with Star Trek Discovery, which I completely disagree with. And I did like 2009 Star Trek for an alternative timeline, for a completely different movie. I enjoyed it. I did. Star Trek Discovery is unlike any Star Trek series that came before it, which is true. And the CBS is planning to experiment with new formats, which such as micro series, the Star Trek short treks, and possible limited series in the future. Moore spoke directly to the concerns about the modern Star Trek franchise. Moore seems to feel like the franchise is doing well for naught. Reiterating again that having Star Trek year round isn't the problem as long as CBS is providing distinct offerings. When you are now, it's like, okay, it's all been reinvented. It looks completely different. The style is very different. The stories are different. So it feels like you're in danger. It doesn't feel like you're in danger of Star Trek repeats just because there's a lot of stuff coming out. Though, if they'll all be the same, just start becoming the same meal over and over again, then you'll run into fatigue and you'll all have the same problems. So basically, he just repeated himself. He just said, hey, yeah, Star Trek fatigue is when you get fatigued. It's when it's the same shit over and over again. It's two different paragraphs saying the same goddamn thing. Are you worried about Star Trek franchise fatigue? Let us know in the comments. And there's like 2 comments. So I think the important thing there, guys, is clearly what he didn't say. And what he didn't say was, Star Trek Discovery is a really good show. You should really watch that. I'm really behind it. Now, maybe he said, I'm just going off this article. I didn't see the full interview. And maybe he said that in there. And it probably, if he did say that, it probably would have been a really good thing to point out in that article. But he said, basically, yeah, it's really different now. It's a show that does things that are different. And yeah, so, and then he said, well, but if you keep making more of this, it'll get fatigued really bad. So I thought it was kind of a standout. And I went to 2 other articles to see if he did say, if he did indeed say that Star Trek Discovery is great. They're doing everything right. I mean, this is the fresh new feel that we need. Go Star Trek Discovery. Didn't hear him say that. So I think that's a big deal coming from Ronald D Moore, who was at the Star Trek thing. And all this news, by the way, folks, if you weren't aware, that's coming out of Star Trek Discoveries. They just recently did a Star Trek convention in Las Vegas, which honestly, I think if I have a choice to go to Comic-Con or the Star Trek convention next year, I'll probably go to Star Trek convention. It needs to die quickly, Mary. It really does. So yeah, I think it's very interesting that Ronald D Moore didn't say he liked it. It's very telling. Now bringing out Star Trek fatigue sounds like they're trying to get ahead of something here. Why would you even bring that up? When they've announced, they've only officially announced 1 show. And it's the Jean-Luc Picard show. Now they've talked about, there might be some other ones. There might be some limited series. They've even talked about the Khan prequel, and it looks like that's going ahead. I heard some news that some trademarks got put out there, and they basically, I think it's Star Trek Reliant and Star Trek Destiny. I don't know about Destiny, but Reliant, of course, is Khan. So I don't know. And if Nicholas Meyer is involved, even if Kurtzman is overseeing it, Nicholas Meyer, I trust. I do. Okay. Undiscovered Country, Wrath of Khan. The man knows his fucking Trek. He makes good Trek. I love Undiscovered Country. I adore that movie so much. I watch it just as much as I watch Wrath of Khan. I do. John Bellman. $20 super chat. Thank you, Ronald D Moore for Star Trek, Noah Hawley for Marvel, and Doomcock for being in charge of Star Wars would be my pulp culture dream team. Absolutely. Oh my God. Make new money and put them. Yeah, they can replace the presidents. John Bellman, thank you so much. And again, I got to welcome all the people in here. I saw Lane Bachelor, Random Game User, Alex Utopia, Matthew Davies, Burnfred Axe Wielder, the great John Bellman, Movie Fanobi, the great Movie Fanobi with his, how are you? Mako, Slurmy Scott, how are you? Persian Scribe, Alicia, Joseph Wallace, hello. Rough Girl, how's it going? So yeah. So we could discuss away, or we could move like we have had a pretty damn good summer here at Nerd. I thought we'd things slow down for us in the summer because we are as TV goes. Okay, so when there's not a lot of TV shows out, our channel kind of slows down a little bit, and that's totally cool. But out of nowhere, we started covering a lot of TV again. I wasn't like expecting to cover Better Call Saul, but we did. It's been great. Venture Brothers response has been awesome. Preacher has gotten better, which excites me a lot, and I think we might actually get a season 4. So yes, we bitch about Star Trek Discovery, but I will always end it with there is many other things you could be watching that are much, much better. And that leads into the Venture Brothers and the Orville. And these are two things. They are parodies. They parody Venture Brothers parodies Johnny Quest, DC Marvel Comics, pretty much everything Generation X watched when we were kids. And the Orville parodies 90s Star Trek. And it is clear that Seth MacFarlane, Jackson Public, they should both be in charge of the properties they are parodying right now because they love them more. You can tell. I mean, it's just the passion's there. Dennis was telling a story at Jackson Public. He works so hard on Venture Brothers. He works himself sick. The man works himself sick. He's obsessive. Seth MacFarlane has been trying to make a Star Trek like all his life. You see all his fan films. I wonder if there's any Alex Kurtzman Star Trek fan films when he was a kid. I doubt it, but I don't know. And this is the sad thing is like our parodies are now superior to what they parody. And the source material has become a caricature of itself. And it's sad. And it's really sad. And it's because it's in the wrong hands. It's in the hands of people who don't give a shit about you, me. And really, they just make stuff for each other now. It's gotten worse and worse over the years. I mean, it's kind of always been like that in Hollywood, but Hollywood used to, care about money. And I don't know. Yes, by the way, lick that button. Lick that button. And it's thank God there's YouTube. I know, yes, the YouTube, like Mako said, and Mako's not wrong. This can be a gigantic echo chamber and confirmation biased. And, I'm guilty of it as anybody else. I go to channels to where I like cut of their jib, which is usually my opinions. But I'll watch other channels too. And I enjoy, I really get a lot when people disagree with us in the comments and chat. And it's, somewhat respectful. It doesn't have to be totally respectful. I'm not a wuss. It does. I listen. Okay. Cause sometimes you guys are right. I mean, it's like sometimes I'll go off the chains or Dennis will, we come correct. We listen to you guys, that's what's not happening in Hollywood. Okay. No, it hasn't been nice because they've been ignoring us. So the more it's like a child, the more you ignore the child is going to scream and yell. Not saying that the fans are children. Okay. We are paying customers and it has been just complete disrespect. To the point where people who used to be on your side are now falling on our side. And this is a big deal. So, I might be doing another live stream because there's something I really want to talk about, but I can't, but I can talk about after this afternoon. So I might be coming back on because it really does relate to this. There's a lot of comic book shops closing right now. The reason the comic book shops are closing because the comics are terrible. And on top of that, and they're not all terrible. There's actually some really good comics in there that are getting lost because the creators have been, you want to talk about toxic. We have a toxic creator problem. We really do. Fans will be fans, but, a lot of it's easy to ignore a lot of stuff. Like when we get shit here in the comments, I can ignore. It's easy to ignore it. It really is. I don't, but it's easy to do it. What the creators act, especially on Twitter. I mean, like I'm not big on Twitter. I hear it through other people, but I used to see it. It's not anything new, by the way. When I was on Twitter heavily in 2009, 10, and 11, I saw the same stuff that I'm hearing about now. It's just a little bit worse, but it pretty much is the same. Thank you very much. Roll Cat 100. Congrats on 5,000 subs. Thank you so much. Yeah, and there's a lot of comic creators who are very good to fans. Okay, very, very good to fans. And we got to maybe shine some more light on them. Because a lot of the people who are disrespectful fans are like fringe comic book creators. Like, honestly, they're not making a lot of stuff right now, so we don't need to focus. But there are some who are creating content and are very influential, who are uh, disgusting on Twitter, for lack of a better word. I'm glad to see that Dan Slott has rolled back on Twitter, but other people have not. And as somebody who's going to have skin in the game pretty soon, and I will not be quiet about it, by the way. Once I have skin in the game and I have to like pay my bills again with comic books and stuff, I will not be quiet. I'm pretty quiet about it now. But having, and that's kind of where I got in trouble in Twitter and I had to leave because when it mattered to me when, I was like paying my bills with this stuff and I see creators out there, telling people, well, if you don't like what I think, don't buy my books. Well, it's like, well, bruh, you got paid already and I have it on the books you ordered. So shut up and let me get paid on the books, and why don't you just create stuff and not tell people to go not buy your book from my store, jackass. Sorry, I still get a little pissed off about that, but yeah. So and it's happening on a much bigger level with Hollywood. So people need to come correct, and that's why we need to also focus on the good stuff out there, which is Venture Brothers and Orville. Give them all the love. Don't even bother watching Star Trek Discovery. Don't even bother, it sucks saying this as as a former retailer. Buy stuff you like. Don't buy stuff from people you don't like. And the market will correct that. If we have more people like putting up with Mark Waid or Dan Slott or any other creator who attacks fans, but you still buy their stuff, they're going to still be around. You don't buy their stuff, they're not going to be around, and they'll go away. And then we'll get people who appreciate the fans a little more. And if you have a disagreement, it's real easy to diffuse one too. If somebody comes at you like all, full of flames and and hate, you just try to kill them with kindness. It's really easy to diffuse that stuff. I've had to deal with that in the store. People coming in all pissed off, and you just genuinely be nice to them. Say, or apologize if you need to apologize, or ask them like, what can I do to help you with this? I mean, don't back down because some people like take advantage of that stuff, but there's a way to do it. It's the art of customer service, which is dead these days. If you don't like it, don't buy it. That worked well for DICE, EA, and Battlefront. Battlefront 5. Great PR slogan. Yes. I listen, I'm not a gamer, but I've watched the videos, Burnford Axe Wielder, and yeah, that's hilarious. They got exactly what they wanted out of that. Yeah, and and to talk about the good, I mean, like Star Trek Discovery is such a waste of time when there's The Expanse, there's Counterpart, there's Mr. Robot for one more season. Very sad about that. There's Venture Brothers, there's the Orville, there's Preacher. If you're still a fan of Game of Thrones is still better than most shows on television. Westworld could probably turn around. I think it's a possibility that can turn around. American Gods, watch American Gods season 1 is nothing short of amazing. It's absolutely amazing television. It is wonderfully weird. You got to kind of like that thing. And of course there's Legion. And there's on Netflix there's Daredevil season 1, Daredevil season 2, Jessica Jones season 1. Those are the standouts for the Marvel for me anyway. Iron Fist season 2 looks pretty good. Better Call Saul is an amazing show. Is a really amazing show. Yeah, there's tons of good stuff. The guy from Mr. Robot, Rami Malek, is going to be in Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody. Rough Girl, absolutely. He's I think you can already give him the Academy Award, and if he's just halfway decent as Freddie Mercury, who doesn't love Freddie Mercury, by the way, out there? Does anybody not love Freddie Mercury? Queen, like I love the band. Some of their stuff like really sucked when they got experimental, but their good was like the greatest ever. Their whole the Highlander soundtrack, the Flash Gordon soundtrack. I mean, being the official nerd band practically, that's kind of what they were. Freddie Mercury's voice and Rami Malek is like seems to be born to play that role. And I'm so glad Bryan Singer's not involved in that movie because now I can watch it. So we are the champions. Yes, I prefer Sparks to Queen myself. I don't know if I prefer Sparks. Why choose random? Why choose? I mean, just one day listen to Sparks and one day listen to Queen. Sparks is a band that maybe random. I don't want to assume that. I'm sure some of you have heard of Sparks. Sparks is a great band. It's a great band. And because Random did a video, I have had Sparks in my head for like 2 weeks now. I've been listening to them, and it reminded me of high school and angst in my pants when I was 13. I was listening to that like all day, every day, all day, every day. Mickey Mouse is one of my favorite songs of all time. I wonder if we'll see American Gods season 2. I like the old pimp style Olden, but what happened to Thor? Queen is so damn good. That's right. Rock You rocks you. Don't deny it. It does. I mean, I've heard that song. I probably heard that song 1,000 times. I don't get tired of it. Yes, there will be an American God season 2. They're actually filming it. They have new showrunners. It's a competent showrunner, so maybe it'll be good. I'm not sure. I'm not the Brian Fuller. If the goddamn guy would stick with something, I would be a huge fan of his, but he didn't. And yeah, I'm glad he left Star Trek Discovery for American Gods because we got a better show for it. So you're not that late, Jody. It's all good. Mary Ashby, thank you for the $2 super chat. My mom called me caught me laughing my ass off at Preacher. Yes. Preacher was so funny last night. Yeah. I don't want to. You'll have to go watch our recap because it was gross last night. Like Preacher really returned to season 1 had a lot of blowing up people and just pieces of people. They seem to find their season 1 flow last night. Random Game User 42. I think for me, Queen is one of those bands that I've heard the crap out of and I'm burned out on. Yeah, I could understand that. I didn't listen to Queen for like a decade, so that's why I can like go back to it now. And I feel that way like about a ton of music, like Zeppelin. I love Zeppelin. I can't listen to any Zeppelin anymore, ever. I still listen to my old punk rock, so I don't know. I am not tired of the Dead Kennedys yet. It's been 30 years almost. Gary, when they did "We Will Rock You" in A Knight's Tale, that was one of my favorite uses of the song. Yep. Hey, Suicide Squad, that trailer with Bohemian Rhapsody, that was a great trailer. I mean, whoever cut that trailer is a genius, especially considering the movie they took it out of. Who Wants to Live Forever? Queen, exactly. Oh my God, Highlander. I love that movie to death. Nice, thanks. Brian Fuller should have fought for Star Trek and helped them find a better name for the show. God damn it, STD, man, please. I still like Rammstein. Du hast. Yeah, that was weird. Star Trek Discovery. We talked about that a lot. It's like, really, you didn't see that coming? That acronym? That was nuts. That was a little nuts. Pine and Hemsworth both ditched Star Trek 4. I guess they are tired of it too, says James Hayes. Yep. Well, the word on the street is I watched, I kind of agree with Anti-Trekker on this one. All right. The word on the street is they came at Chris Pine with a pay cut, which is kind of shitty. But on the other hand, I mean, it's millions. He's making millions for a couple of months worth of work. In the interest of keeping your franchise going, um, considering that the last movie kind of bombed, I would be grateful and maybe take the pay cut. That's one of those decisions. Like if he walks away from Captain Kirk right now over maybe it's $500,000, maybe it's $1 million. 20 years from now, when he is wallowing in obscurity, he will regret it. The one thing I love about William Shatner is William Shatner did go through a time of not liking Kirk, but he embraced Kirk. There was a time where he finally just went, shit, it's a role. It's a working job in Hollywood. And it's iconic one. I'm going to be remembered forever. And, taking a line from Westworld last season, you only live as long as the last person remembers you. People are going to remember William Shatner forever. He is immortal now because of that one role that he's quote unquote typecast in. And okay, TJ Hooker, never forget. That's the kind of thing you don't walk away from. So I will agree with the Chris Pine equals Steve Gutenberg, says Lane Bachelor. Thank you. Oh, well said. Well said. Yeah, they just, you know what you get? Like I said, Hollywood's insular. They get trapped. They talk to each other, and they live in the moment right there, which it's okay. But you think maybe some older actors would come down and kick him in the ass and go, dude, you know how many people would die for what you got? I mean, just like they would cut off their sack for that. Don't do it. Just go back, do the movie. And if it's successful, when they want you to do another one, you can now say, hey, that one was a hit. I need some more paper, and you'll get it. I mean, all this over $500,000, and he thinks he's a star because he's the second fiddle in a Wonder Woman movie, which was good. Okay. It was good. Had a kind of a bad third act. Let's be honest about that. But it was also of its time. I think it was lightning in a bottle. I don't know if the sequel will do as well. I hope it does. I like Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I thought it was good. That one scene where she's coming out of the trenches and it's the World War I and all the Gatling guns are firing her. That was badass. That was like, yes, I was happy to see that. But then we had like giant CG guys fighting energy beams, and then Steve Trevor went and killed himself for no reason at all. So yeah, I don't know. I think William Shatner should talk to him and go, kid, typecast. It's a good thing. I can't do William Shatner. Just think of Doomcock doing it. He does a great William Shatner. By the way, Doomcock, thank you again for the shout out. And thank you to all of the Nerdrotics out there, people on Twitter who shared our tweets and really pushed for the 5,000 sub things. It would not have happened without you guys like sharing. And I really appreciate that. That was really, really cool. And I get that. See, yes, I actually get speechless because this is surreal. Having a YouTube channel and people actually watching is surreal. Okay. I'm not used to it. Ever hear the story of how Nimoy was attending a Star Trek convention and accidentally walked into the wrong conference hall, which happened to have a bunch of physicists? No, I haven't. I have a story that's kind of like that, Jody, but not as good. During my first marriage, I went to my first comic convention in Vegas. I was a guest there, promoting my comic that I self-published, and they invited me over there through a friend, basically trying to give me help with the comic book and stuff like that. And it was a comic convention, and it was in some convention center, but it got moved to the parking lot. So we had it was because it was during the rodeo convention in Vegas, and apparently the rodeo convention is like the biggest convention there, like out of all of them. This was 1996, 7, and we got moved to the parking lot. And there's a big curtain down the middle, and there was another convention there. That other convention was the porno convention. So they had a comic book convention and a porno convention in a parking lot with a big black curtain down the middle. And oh yes, kids were wandering in and out and in and out. And my wife at the time found out there was a porno convention there. I honestly had no idea. I had no idea. Then I walked over the corner and I'm like, oh shit, there's a porno convention. Apparently she had a big problem with it. I got a lot of trouble. Yeah, that was, yeah, I walked in and wow, porno conventions in Vegas. Shit gets real there, mama. The rodeo conventions are nuts in Vegas, random. My older sister goes to that. She's really my older sister is really into that country and Western stuff. I come from a long line of whiskey tango. Okay. I tagged Counterpart every other day to tell them about the live chat. Oh, thanks, rough girl. Yeah, I got to get better at that. Because with Happy, when we were covering Happy, people from the show were like watching our recaps. And that's when I realized like people from the show actually watch our fucking recaps. Like, you know, and I would like, if I was working on a show, I'd want to know what the people think and not some critic. I would go to YouTube now and find out what, you know, what Mary Ashmead thinks or Viking bitch, or, you know, I would be searching it every day. Cause I think that is much better gauge, by the way. Just noticed, you made it past 5,000 subs. Woohoo. Thanks, Persian Scribes. Yes. Can't believe it. Cannot believe it. I never went to the rodeo conventions, but they were impossible to miss. They were. Yeah, I would not go to one either. I am not a fan of the rodeo. I know this is going to sound a little hippie of me, but I kind of like animals. I mean, you know, yeah, I eat them, but I kind of like them. So I don't like them for sport. I'm not a big fan of horse racing or anything. If you're into that stuff, that's cool. No judging, but I'm not. I have never been to Vegas somehow. I'm afraid I would stay there, James Hayes. Yes, it is almost like the land of the lotus eaters. You get caught there, you can get stuck. I've always said, and I don't drink or do drugs, but I will gamble occasionally, and I like going there with friends. It's all about like who you go with, but I like going there with a group of friends. My wife, we tear up the town. We do the, you know, it's pathetic because we're old, but we go to clubs, or we go to Hard Rock Cafe. We catch a show, we gamble, or we just walk around the strip for hours on end. There's a White Castle there, by the way, and if you know, there's like 0 of those on the West Coast, so that's why that's a big deal. And there's also the Millennium Fandom Bar. A friend of mine named Alex owns the Millennium Fandom Bar, which is about 3 blocks, I guess, east of the Stratosphere, and it is a nerd bar. So like think of sports bar except nerd bar. Brilliant idea, by the way. Super nice guy. So if you're in Vegas, go to the Millennium Fandom Bar. I had a good time there. We will be doing a podcast from there someday. I fucking adore Vegas, but 4 days is my max. I mean, I am tore up. You don't sleep. They do. I think they really do pump like mass oxygen into those casinos. Cause like you could be up at 4 a.m. and be all, man, I feel great. Or you can go to an actual oxygen bar. Those are trippy. I've done that. Well, Gary Nimoy's case, the speaker was talking about the plausibility of FTL tech. He noticed Nimoy and asked what Mr. Spock thought. I wonder what Mr. Spock thought. Well, without missing a beat, Nimoy says to answer that would violate the Prime Directive. That's why he's an actor. Yes. All my knowledge of Las Vegas comes from Fallout Las Vegas. Mako, apparently it's pretty accurate. I'll have to ask my son on that one. I lived in Las Vegas from 2003 to 2004. I miss it. Oh, you lived in Vegas. Hey, you lived there right when my sister lived there. Interesting. I like it there. I do. Okay, so guilty pleasure. I don't watch any TV shows outside of what I cover here. So when I'm covering something, that's all the TV I watch. I can't afford to watch. I don't have time to watch anything else. The only thing I am and the show got canceled in 2014, 15. But I watch it over and over again, is Flipping Vegas. I don't know why I love that show, but I love that show. And it is the guiltiest of pleasures because it's terrible. The Scott Yancey is probably a fraud and an a-hole, but I love his show and his yeah. And you also see like pretty much how much he spends on every house he flips. It's basically like 30 grand every time. And he flips it for a profit. And then he drives around he has like these gaudy, expensive cars and he puts his freaking logo on the side of them, which is hilarious. You mean you will never review that? What is the Linderstrasse? Now my grandma's sad. Burnfred Axe Wielder. I don't want your grandma to be sad, but yeah. Yeah, CSI. We're going to be recapping CSIs. I would have to do this full time to recap CSIs, and then they would be 5 minutes. It would be like, there was a really weird crime that's not really plausible, and then they science the hell out of it and find some DNA strata on a bootstrap, and then the muscle guy comes in at the end, and there's a little bit of a shootout, and the scientists high five. On to next episode. Cue the Who or whatever theme song they have now. Not to knock anybody who watches that show. My wife watch the hell out of them, but I think we even I like, okay, so I watched the William Peterson one for a while because I like William Peterson, but when he was gone, I was gone. Nerdroticon at Vegas sounds awesome. Oh my god, that would be awesome, Jody. That would be. I'm going there. We're going there. So we're doing a con in Austin at the end of October. And then the following weekend, we're actually doing our anniversary in Vegas for a couple of days. So I'll probably be broadcasting from a hotel room. We have some old like Game of Thrones recaps that nobody watched from a Vegas hotel room. Yeah. When I go on the road, like this podcast does not stop. It does not stop. The show must go on. The people demand it. Plus, I like doing it. So, yes, I will stop a Vegas vacation to recap Game of Thrones. Rough Girl does rock. I love CSI. Hey, that a lot of people do Rough Girl. I mean, that show is printing money, and it will never die, and it reinvents itself. And you know what? I think it's kind of cool how it gives like actors a little second chance. Like Ted Danson is doing great now. The Good Place, by the way, is going to be the one network show we are going to cover. I'm not usually big on network shows, but The Good Place, we're going to give it a shot. Dennis is really behind that show. So I will give it a shot. We're also Future Man is another one he's behind that he really wants me to cover. So we're going to cover Future Man when season 2 comes out. Recaps with CSI and Lady Heather. Maybe if the channel grows and we can like hire people, maybe. How late is it at my it is it's 10:44 a.m. Burnfred Axe Wielder, where are you? Yeah, we can go another hour. Yeah, hour and 15 minutes we can go. No problem. Gary, if you organize it, we will come. Cue Field of Dreams music. Cons are incredibly difficult to organize. Trust me on that one. My birthday is in November. Wink, wink, says Rough Girl. All right, I'll remember that. You're in Berlin. 7:50 p.m. Well, good evening, Bernfred Axwilder. So Dana would be the Grissom of your team. Who would Susan be? Oh, I don't. Asking Rough Girl. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know the names of those people. What will I call the new shop? Nerdrotic Comics. Matthew Davies, it would be called Nerdrotic. Just probably Nerdrotic. And then on the bottom it would say comics, games, vinyl, vintage toys. I would stick with the brand, yes. But something has come to light in the last 48 hours to where it might be named differently. That's the only hint I can give. I don't know. That's the meeting is about that at 1:00 today, and we'll see how this meeting goes. If the meeting goes well, I will be talking to you guys right afterwards. If it goes so, we'll wait. I can't see it going bad, so it all depends on actually if so. Yeah, it is. I will say this: it's about a comic shop. It is about a comic shop. Now, the plan was our original plan. This is like a 5-year plan we were working on. Is to start back up with a pop up so we can kind of feel out our locations, because this whole pop up thing is a great opportunity to see if you like a location. So we figure 6 months to maybe a year we do pop ups. Another comic shop owner, which practically invented the pop up, does this in San Diego. All right. So I'm going to borrow that formula a little bit. And, a pop up is basically you go into some place and fulfill the lease if somebody bails out at a reduced rate. And then you sign either a month to month from there, or you just finish out their contract or whatever. There's lots of ways you can do a pop up, but it also gives us an opportunity to get to maybe a better location at a lower price to kind of get our name out there. Now, in the comic realm, people knew who my shop was and knew who I was. So we kind of have a leg up on that. We have inventory. So we were going to do a pop-up December 16th. And but then something has come that might be a little better. And it happened rather quickly and publicly on Facebook, but I still can't talk about it. Not yet. It wouldn't be good. Do you Americans have some family show that old folks use to torture their kids over? Mine was a show. Mine was a show I just talked about, the horror. Like torture their kids, like make them watch it or wouldn't let them watch it. We have tons of shows like that. My parents, when I was little, wouldn't let me watch the freaking Twilight Zone. They wouldn't let me watch Night Gallery. No, torture to me is like my parents watching horrible TV shows when I was a kid. But all my dad did was like watch freaking stock tickers all day long. My dad was all about the Benjamins, man. He was all about the paper. Thank you, Silver Spike. It's all going to be part of this channel. The channel's going nowhere. It's not going to be affected. As a matter of fact, you'll probably get more content out of it. It's supposed to be all one thing. It's supposed to be a retail spot that has a studio inside of it to where I can podcast more. Because I am a very laid back comic shop owner. It's a comic shop. Okay. It doesn't need to be, it's not rocket science, people. It's actually, you know how you have a good comic shop that's successful, even in this seemingly terrible time? Good customer service. Wow, I'm a genius. How did I figure that out? Okay, so I've been retailing like all my life. I worked in record stores and stuff like that. And yeah, it's I was allowed to watch UFO in the 70s. Lane Bachelor, I love that show. I fucking love that show. And I was not allowed. My grandma let me watch it. Grandma was cool. Grandma smoked filterless Lucky Strikes. Fuck yeah, grandma. So what was I saying? Yeah, customer service is it. I walked into Atlantis Fantasy World. The girl, the lady that greeted me, we had a nice talk. She was really fun. She was, pointing stuff out. She was talking to my kid. My kid was talking her ear off. She listened to every word. Great customer service. I'm like, I'm gonna buy shit here because I like her. So I bought stuff there. That's pretty much it. We all sell the same shit. So if you got some like stick in the mud or bump on the log or whatever you want to call him behind the counter with his head or her head in a comic and like barely acknowledges your presence. And the whole time you're in there, they don't like talk to you. Now there's talking too much. Okay. But yeah, that makes me insane. And that never went in my comic store, but that's a lot of problems. And also there's a lot of comic shop owners who don't read comic books anymore. They get burned out on it. I mean, it's tough. I mean, I know you're like, what? But like, you have to read like Feisty knows. I see Feisty in here. Feisty knows fucking like you read 7 a day, maybe. You have to set time aside. And you're like, oh, and then when they're bad, you're like, oh my God, I'd rather be like jogging or something. I don't know. Although I like jogging. But what's up, the Batman? What's up? My Nan smoke filterless 2 War Generation, straight up. Lane Bachelor. My Nan. I miss her. I miss her so much. She was so fucking awesome. Her name was Agnes. In San Francisco or Oakland, I have friends who run the board game shop, hang out constantly at the one in Oakland. Is it Dr. Comics? Or is it Comic Relief is gone out of Berkeley, which is terrible. Rory Root's old store. People used to hang out, Matthew Davies. It's going to be in San Francisco. The pop-up will be either in Daly City or San Francisco, and the other one is in San Francisco proper, which is tough. Okay. Cause the rents and, just the politics of the town are insane. And, there's also the other things that go with San Francisco. There's a lot of, crazy people here, and they like to come into comic stores and talk to you. I think there's a medical clinic that was 2 doors down from my comic store, and every other Friday they would give people like $50 to test them with drugs. So they'd shoot them up with cancer or whatever. I have no idea. And give them, $60, and they all wanted to hang out in my store, to the point where it's like, I just got used to it. And, if they got too bad, I would, I would, if they either smelled too bad or if they got annoying or freaking out customers, I'd shoo them away. But usually I just put up with it. I mean, sometimes there was nobody else in there but them. So we had a crazy little conversation, and that's how it goes. But yeah. And then there's people always trying to scam you. Like Feisty, you get a phone call every day of somebody trying to scam you. That gets old. Are there many homeless people pissing all over the place in San Francisco, Gary? Or is that South Park exaggeration? No, it is not. It is not. It is, there's actually just sfgate.com is the San Francisco Chronicle, which, by the way, my store won Best of the Bay in 2009. That's right. They just did an article on all the poop on our streets around here. It's it's basically, here's some poop on a street in front of a $6 million house. How is that house worth $6 million when there's poop all over the street? Well, that's a good question that I don't have the answer of. We have a new mayor. She said she's going to handle it. We'll see what happens. Honestly, I've lived here 16 years. We've had 4 mayors. I haven't noticed a difference between any of them. We had Gavin. We had Slick Willie. But when Rose Pack died, that was pretty. She was the one who ran the city. Rose Pack, you can look her up. She was allegedly a part of, we'll say, some nefarious organizations, possibly. Silver-plated poop, maybe. It's bad though. It is really, really bad. I'm not joking. If you go down 6th Street, you walk 2 blocks, you'll see some. If it's Stan Lee's poop, yes. Well, they'll probably want to put it in some ink at a comic, JP. That scum bucket, he was putting his blood in the Black Panther one. I mean, how did that even pass? How is that even possible? Blood's a biohazard. Seriously, even as a homeless guy, at least try to have some dignity and poop somewhere in a dark corner. Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, there isn't a lot of places for them to go. That needs to be dealt with. There is a lot of them. They are human beings. They need to be treated with somewhat respect. But there's also, it's very complicated. It's got everything to do with drugs and addiction. There needs to be more treatment and blah, blah, blah. And I'd be happy to help pay for some of that if we actually were doing something to fix it instead of just putting a coat of paint on it. I can't think of a better metaphor than that, but yeah, it's bad. It's bad. But that's why I generally don't hang out in downtown. I live here. I do not go down there. I can see it, but I do not go down there. I like my little neighborhood. And I like live streaming and stuff. It's a gloomy ass day. There's no reason to go outside at all, except to have a meeting. And then I'm going to another meeting, and then we're coming back. We are covering Better Call Saul tonight, but there will be there's an 80% chance there'll be another live stream because I'll be very excited and I want to talk about something. Stan Lee makes me so sad and angry. Give the man his freedom back, says Burnford X Whittler. Yes, absolutely. Always avoid standing in radioactive poop. Do not want to get those kind of powers. Nope. Do you think it's helping or hurting addicts by giving them safe places to shoot up with the needles? Ask random game user 42. Ooh, that's a deep question. Hurting. I'm going to say hurting. I think what would probably help is legalizing at this point, and that way taxes can pay for more supervision and treatment. And that is pretty much me throwing my hands up in the air and society throwing their hands up in the air going, because the war on drugs is stupid. It didn't work. And it was a big fucking farce anyway. So my answer would be legalize it. I am 100,000,000% against it. It's going to kill you. It's horrible. It's, drugs have completely, through my decisions and everything, fucked my life. But yeah, I also came out the other side, and I'm glad I did, and I wouldn't change anything. But I've also seen it kill 21-year-olds. I don't want to get into that, but yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. I don't think we should. I think we should legalize it and not be passing out needles that are ending up on our streets. And there's one picture of a bunch of kids walking past a guy shooting up. I mean, that's no, fuck no. Give them give them a den or something to go into, and that's fine. Whatever. I know that's probably controversial, but personally think some addicts need to hit rock bottom to get clean. But yeah, this is such a huge issue. It's tough for me, but having something available could help. I mean, I want them to be safe, random, but yes, that is the whole thing of recovery is you have to hit your personal bottom. Some people don't have one, unfortunately. Can't save everybody. Artemis, what's up? Yeah, I'm going to one of those meetings later today too. But yeah, let's talk about fun stuff. Let's talk about fun stuff. Now, well, you see, yeah, they used to have like methadone is Will Coy is bad. The biggest problem with legalizing marijuana in Canada is that the trailer park boys have nothing to go to jail for at the end of each season. Ricky will now be a multimillionaire. James Hayes, that was always my argument when they legalized pot. It's like, think of the pot dealers. You're gonna put Mark on the corner out of business, and like think of all that lost time of hanging around his house for 4 hours while he slowly weighs your weed and inflicts all his wisdom on you, and you're fucking stuck there wanting to escape, but you can't because he's already taken your money and you need him to weigh out your dope, and he's waiting because he's actually lonely because he's a drug dealer, and he sits there and like gives you drug dealer philosophy for 4 hours. Yeah, though gone are those days. Fuck. But I may or may not have lived through that quite a bit. Um, and yeah, think about that. Think about like the danger element. Like I mean, like smoking pot, and it was like against the law. It was like, ooh, it's dangerous. I feel like I'm living dangerous. Now it's just like legal, boring. So there you go. Um, Good luck with the store. Are there enough kids in SF to make it viable? Come to Hayward instead, says Carrie Dalton. I'm Yes, there is, Carrie, because no other store caters to them whatsoever. Now Brian, when he bought my store, he did continue the kids section. So to his credit, and he's also, I'm gonna take a leap here. I'm trying to think in my head. I think Brian and I were the only shop owners who had kids in San Francisco. I think at the time, yes, we were the only shop owners who had kids. So it made sense that we're the ones who catered to kids. All the other stores do their thing. Every store is unique here, and they do it. They're of because the neighborhoods are so different here. So my store was in like the very suburban, normie. What we're called breeders here in San Francisco. Straight people are called breeders, and that's it's a breeder. I was in a breeder area. There's the for lack of a better term, there's the gay comic store in the Castro called Whatever. That's a good store. It's run very well. They do really good. Isotope, the comic book lounge, is run by James Sim. Great guy. He is the comic pimp himself. He runs it like a bar because he used to be a bartender, and it's really cool. It's really cool. It's like a shag lounge, and like it's got great furniture. Plus, he's a super nice guy, and really fun to talk to. Brian Hibbs, who runs the Comics Experience, is a fucking genius when it comes to comics. You want to talk about somebody who was born to do it. Great at crunching numbers. He runs more of a bookstore, but it works. Then there's Frank at Amazing Fantasy, who's like an old school comic guy, kind of like me. And it's down in Irving, and it's like a tiny shop, but man, it's fun. And Frank is a nice guy. I have nothing bad to say about any of the comic shop owners. We're all like we're friends. We never competed against. There's enough people. There's enough to go around, and it actually made it a really fun place to sell comics because there wasn't this stupid fucking animosity between ownership. Oh, and there's also Leaf with Mission Comics and Art, and he tries to do like he's very mission. So everybody like adapts to their neighborhood. But there are kids. Short answer to that is there is some kids left, but not many. Not many. What would you do if you came home and found somebody had taken your action figures out of their wrapping? Says the Batman. I do that. If they took like some of my Migos out, I'd be very sad. The Batman. If I caught them in the act, they would get a stern chewing out. If somebody broke into my house, they'd get their ass kicked. I didn't know you were a breeder. I thought Dennis was your husband. I'll unsub now. I only sub to gay people and minorities, says Mako. How did you think Dennis was my husband? We don't even live together. I mean, did you think we were estranged? All right. Well, it's nice knowing you, Mako. Sorry to hear that. Yes, I'm a breeder. Hey, it's like, especially the pink economy, Mako. You can't deny the pink economy, which is 2 male incomes in San Francisco. The pink economy is real. It is real. Our business partner at the salon, Steve, we call him Steve. Steve is an incredibly handsome man. Like, women weep when they find out he's gay. And yeah, he's living large. He's got, and like he owns the same salon we do. He's in a nice house. Oh, that house in Sausalito, that was Steve's house I was in. We did the podcast from. Steve's awesome, by the way. We call him Uncle Steve. Mary's going to a meeting tomorrow. Good. You know what, Mary? I haven't been going to enough meetings because I work so far away. I've only been able to go to like one a week, and I don't like that at all. I like to go to like 2 or 3 a week. And I miss it. I haven't been to my home meeting in months. I miss my peeps there. Question: I just watched the comics review of Cosmic Ghost Rider 2, and what the fuck? Since when is Frank Castle the writer? Since when is he Deadpool 2.0? Why is he a blonde hippie? Then he goes, SJWs. Um, Read the comic. It's not quite that bad. I mean, Benford Axe Wielder, but all the comics have got that bad. And that's I'm sorry to say, I'm an unabashed Ghost Rider fan, even if it's Frank Castle and stuff. So I'm like kind of biased. But um everything has gone Deadpool. Everything is silly, as DNC says. It's everything is silly Billy now. There are no stakes. And that's what the problem with Marvel comics is basically, yeah, it makes everything Deadpool. It makes everything breaking the fourth wall and ironic and tongue in cheek. And you know what? That's what I was talking about earlier was Venture Brothers and the Orville, while being like tongue being firmly planted in cheek, still tell a story you're invested in. You think there's actual stakes. You know, like if the ship is crashing, you're worrying if they're going to be okay. In current Marvel comics, if the ship is crashing, you know, they're going to get out of it and it's going to be wackadoo silly and they're going to do silly Billy stuff and it'll be really funny, haha, and nothing matters. Nobody wants to read that shit. And by the way, people who write that shit, that is there's okay, again, there's parody with love, Venture Brothers, Orville, and then there's garbage like Marvel, who people who like they don't really care about the characters. They like it on their resume. They're there to have Marvel on their resume so they can become screenwriters later and go do something else. They have a passive interest in comics. And they're yeah, for like I don't like the term poser or fake geek girl, although it's a thing to people who are fans. I like to call them new nerds. They should be cultivated. They should be shown the way and welcomed all the time, even if they are new, even if they buy Funko Pops, just show them the way. If they're a consumer, if they are a creator and they are a poser, then I'm going to freaking call it out because again, I spent 10 years making my money and that stuff, and I plan to get into it. And if you're not taking, I mean, you can be fun and be silly if you take the shit seriously. If you don't, and if it's just a passing fancy and it's disposable to you and you really don't give a fuck, then get out of my industry, please. Go. As Dennis says, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out because you're just coming in, you're crapping on it, and you're leaving without a care. And that's exactly what Burnfred Axe Wielder is talking about. And the fact that Cosmic Ghost Rider 2 is one of the better comics from Marvel is saying something. Now the people who do, there's still people who do care. Again, I wish I could address, I can't, I gotta wait for the second, come back in the second live stream and I'll address what, there is somebody out there who would surprise you is somewhat on our side with this. We've just got an ally in the whole comic thing that nobody expected. So, and it tells you this is how bad things have gotten. Getting this out, this ally is good. It's a very good thing, and it's surprising. And I can't believe nobody else has done a video on it. And like am I actually going to be the first person to do a video on it? But and I'm sorry, I can't address it right now, but all the comics, basically reviewers and quote unquote comics gate crowd should be doing a video on the subject and they completely missed it. I can't believe it. So Feisty knows what I'm talking about. Maybe Feisty should do a video. Be pretty good for your channel. Did you hear that JJ Trek is pushing Paramount close to bankruptcy? I did not, Batman, but I had worked with Paramount a little bit at Technicolor, and they've always been on the verge of it. They really fucked up with Star Trek. Really fucked up with Star Trek. Now this was in 2011, so they still had some stuff. They're done. uh, there's going to be a couple movie companies going down, and it's so sad. But Paramount also doesn't own the entire property. Batman. It is split between um, Viacom, which is Paramount, and CBS. I will recommend you to Midnight's Edge. They about a year ago, was it, did a fantastic couple of videos breaking Star Trek Discovery and the IP problems with Star Trek down. It is ground zero of the Star Trek Discovery movement, is those two videos right there. I mean, those two videos, I watched those in preparation for doing Star Trek Discovery, and blew my mind. Blew my mind. Feisty fan, and yes, you need to do more live streaming. It could be about it doesn't have to be about comics. You can just I mean, like our stuff isn't about comics all the time. And that's my number one like thing. That's my number one love is comic books. It's not television, believe it or not, it's comic books. But more people watch television. So that's the deal. That's the deal. Yeah, I'll have you on. Yes, you should join. I was kind of hoping we should get comics as well if he's not working. Um, we should get a couple people on, because it's you know what I'm talking about, and I'm utterly shocked nobody's done a video on this because it's fucking huge. Gary, you keep teasing us. Who is it? Okay, so a comic shop owner is debating on closing their a comic shop. And it's because of all the reasons I just stated. It's because of all the reasons that the quote unquote comics gay crowd have been talking about. And it's indeed not because people hate women or anything else. It's because we just don't like bad stories. And that's what it's, I mean, if you've listened to us here, that's what we've always been about. All right. And, I try to, and I don't really talk about it that much. I talk about it on other channels. The whole comic book thing is really kind of lost here. Like, people are not super duper into it at this channel, which is fine. But and I'll talk about it on other people's channels. But it's what's going on with Star Trek and going on with Star Wars, and it's the people in charge don't respect the material and don't respect the fans on top of that. And when the fans are like, "Hey, we don't like this," they're like, "You're dumb. You're just not intelligent enough to get it. We're obviously writing the most intellectual Star Wars movie ever." Right. Uh, yes, Benford Axe Wielder, Comicsgate. That's it. It is. And they really tried to paint it like all the other stuff bad, but I'm here to tell you, as somebody who is not I'm an individualist. I don't like really behold any political party. That's why I don't talk about your politics is lame. Um, Strictly by the issue person. And yeah, it's where the message has been lost and found. I think it's really been found in this person. Now, this person would never come out and say they're part of Comicsgate, not in a million fucking years. But if you read what they said, yeah. But this person like knows their shit. Okay, probably more than anybody who's talking about it out there. So yeah, that will be news at 11 on that one. I love television about comics too. That's the thing, is that's why we can love like a Preacher, where Preacher is, it feels like opening up a Vertigo comic. Oh my God, I can't stop blithering about Ruth Nega's Tulip. She doesn't look anything like Tulip in the comic, but she acts exactly like Tulip in the comics, like exactly. And that's all we ever want. I don't care what I mean, like, of course you want your main iconic character that everybody, like the whole comic book was sold on. You want them to kind of look like the main iconic character. But if they act like it, that really goes a long way to just like forgetting completely everything else. Ruth Nega is a perfect example of recasting done 100% perfect, because she acts Tulip to the T. Like, that is now my Tulip. So right there, go Ruth Nega. We love you. I'm sorry that didn't work out between you and Dominic. Um, but I hope that doesn't affect the show because apparently they got together and now they're getting divorced and you know. Make sure you get a long tease or the current one is transferable. You do all the work, then the landlord raises the rent. Also, there is no parking in SF. Stormy Scott, there is no parking in SF except the place I'm thinking about going. There is. It's secret parking, but I have a map that I can make. There's also, it's very important to be on a streetcar line. That is majorly important. That is just as good as no parking. A lot of people don't drive here. I'm probably the last holdout because I'm from Southern California, so I will drive down the block to get a gallon of milk or something. Like, because that's what we do. We don't walk in SoCal. Nobody walks in LA. Okay, we just don't. We get in our cars, we drive. Uh, as well you should, thinking yourself, not blindly cleaving to ideology. No, I do not like having my life views filled out on a punch card before I roll out of the rack in the morning. um Mark Hamill, you know what, Mark Hamill's going to be in I was at the DMV and I got entertainment news. So he's going to be in Nightfall. Mark Hamill's going to be in Nightfall, which is was that the Templar series that's on History Channel? Yeah. So I saw that on a loop for the 4 hours I was at DMV. I'm so glad I didn't miss my number because I knocked out for like 2 straight hours. I was like sawing logs in the DMV. And I woke up and then my number got called. I was all, whew, thank God. I could Airbnb there for like 4 months. Where, San Francisco? She is a great tulip, Mary. Yeah. And Cassidy's done perfect. It's really a good show, folks. I love Mark Hamill. I love that he's a kind of a cantankerous dude. And we need more people like that. I could imagine how bad Star Wars would be without. I mean, like, ooh, it's pretty bad. Uh, Now I'm thinking about missing persons. Nobody walks in LA. I loved Missing Persons. Random, did you like Missing Persons? Um, I think Random and I are probably going to end up doing a music live stream someday. We got to get you on here, Random, if you want to come on. I'm sorry I have not invited earlier, but at some point we need you to come on if you'd like. Love to have you on. Mark Hamill and Dean Cain and James Woods, Batman, are two celebrity ship posters. James Woods is ooh. Yes, Missing Persons were great. Yes, I loved Missing Persons. Absolutely adored them. And Berlin was pretty cool too. The 80s new wave was the LA early 80s new wave was pretty fun. I mean, like my favorite is Oingo Boingo, of course. Oingo Boingo, one of my favorite all-time bands. I'm looking over there. Here, maybe I'll do it. What the hell? I'm gonna turn my camera a little bit, and you can see the stuff I look to on the right. There's some of my stuff. There's my Oingo Boingo, my favorite Oingo Boingo album right there. Nothing to Fear. And of course, there's the Hitchhiker vinyl right there. And then we go up a little bit. There's my Doctor Who stuff that you guys never see. Coming back. Hope I'm not making people dizzy. Whoa, making myself dizzy. There we go. Nothing to Fear. I love that album so much. It was the soundtrack of one of my summers. I was in Yosemite. I know I am a nerd. That is just one corner. Missing Persons were in a B movie playing the song Mental Hopscotch, which is such a goddamn good song. Mental Hopscotch. How can you treat me this way? I'll never do that again. Yeah. It's cluttered with pure treasure. Yes, Artemis Over Easy. It is controlled chaos. My wife and I are absolutely have that in common. We are a controlled chaos. Our whole house looks like that. That's why we bought like kind of a crappy old house that we can just paint ourselves and fix up and do stupid things to, and nobody will go. I don't think I could ever live in some, like, if I did live in some suburban home, I'd be breaking some rules that I'd paint my house purple or some shit just to piss them off. Not purple, blue, but I grew up in the 80s, rock, pop, disco, but I'm 44. You're so young, Rough Girl. You're a youngster. Rough Girl's amazing. Rough Girl skydives. I'd never do that shit. I would never. I mean, I hate flying, so I wouldn't jump out of a perfectly good plane. Irrational fear of flying, by the way, folks. I don't know why. I mean, I do. The rule is that if it's worth dying, it's a place worth dying for. So, like, like I go to London. Yes, I'll get on a plane to go to London, of course. Greece, of course. San Diego, no, I'm driving a car. Driving a car. LA, driving a car. Vegas, driving a car. That's a long fucking drive, by the way. I had the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy computer game back in the 80s. You got free fluff and a free microscopic space fleet with the game. Hey, Batman. Official excuse me, guys. Official Dougie J, my friend of mine, he just emailed me a link on the BBC website. You can play it. You can go play that game like all day long. That's fucking awesome. I used to have that game too. I loved it. And it was basically, it was one of the first video games, right? I mean, it was the first computer game, or there's something groundbreaking about it, but love the Dalek. You know what? My son was moving out and I thought I lost this. I'm so happy to have my Cyberman head back. It was like in the bottom of his closet. Yeah, this thing's cool. So yeah, oh, it's on. I didn't know it still worked. Oh, sounds like a lot of the people out there on Twitter today. Yeah, so these things work and they're awesome. The Dalek one works too, because Doctor Who has the best goddamn toys, period. So yeah, I was so happy I didn't lose that. You caught feisty fan caught a bit of the silly billiness. Silly Billy. That's what comics are now. Balls, says Rough Girl. Yeah, rough Girl. Rough Girl is aptly named. Aptly named. Kick your ass. Only Oingo Boingo song I ever heard was the song sung in Rodney Dangerfield's movie Back to School. Not even sure if that was the song, but a good one. Artemis Over Easy, that was a good one. You need to listen. Their first 3 albums are genius. They get kind of poppy towards the end. And they had a really good experimental last album. But Only a Lad, Nothing to Fear, Good for Your Soul is musical genius. Absolute musical genius. And it's weird that they were a very popular regional band. A lot of people haven't heard of them, but in Southern California in the 80s, they were bigger than the fucking Beatles. They were huge. They could have filled stadiums. They did fill stadiums. And in other parts of the country, nobody had heard of them. It was the weirdest thing. But yeah, Oingo Boingo, Danny Elfman, they played a show in 1984 at the Del Mar Fair, which is in San Diego. The fairgrounds, I've told the story before, holds 5,000 people, right? And you get a free concert if you go to the fair. At the time they shut down the concert after 9 songs, there was 15,000 people. There was, it was a race. It was a horse racing track. So you think of the seats with the big roof, right? They had to shut down the show because people were climbing on the roof, climbing up the banister. People were falling off the roof. Luckily, the person who fell had a bunch of people like ready to catch him, and they only broke a couple of sticks, and that was it. And then they hurt the people they landed on, but the person didn't die. My mom took me to that concert and I ditched her. It was terrible. And yeah, it was mass chaos and everybody remembers it in San Diego. It was freaking awesome. We got 9 awesome songs and that was it. They were huge. Absolutely huge. Uh yeah, the Cybermen's cool. Oingo Boingo was pretty well known to me, but I was a music geek. Yeah, you were music, but yeah, it was weird. I mean, they got a little bit of radio play, but MTV showed nothing until Dead Man's Party came out. Before Dead Man's Party, and before Back to School, and they showed up in the movie Bachelor Party. They had 2 extra songs, which are 2 great. I love the Bachelor Party soundtrack, just for those 2 songs. Tom Hanks, yeah, go back and watch Tom Hanks in Bachelor Party. How many of you remember even that movie? And you watch the very serious and stoic, Jimmy Stewart, Tom Hanks in Bachelor Party, where there's donkey shows and coke. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. It was terrible. Flat earthers. All I saw was flat earthers. Uh, da, 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 uh, what's that say? Man, you have nice hair in your head. I wish I could have. I wish I had some left. Says Master Cam. Oh, it's going. I'm old, but I also my wife is a hairstylist. That helps a lot. That helps a lot. But thank you. Do, 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 do. Oh my God, I'm getting notifications. That's brilliant. Oh, to my wrenches out there. Yeah, you see a lot of wrenches. The wrenches are patrons. Um, and a little message to thank you very much. I trust you guys incessantly. But I was not aware of this, so I'll say out here that you guys can I guess I love you guys watching the chat, but I was watching another channel, and I guess this other channel's wrenches were deleting his comments. Yeah, I'll handle the comments on the videos. Not saying none of you guys are wonderful. That's why you have the wrenches. But I didn't know that that wrenches could delete comments in the videos. Yeah. I have a hard enough time with YouTube filters, like a bunch of comments out, which I hate, and they won't let me put them back in. So just so you folks know that I do not delete comments. YouTube filters the shit out of them though. So if you even if you want to personally attack us, don't put a cuss word in. Like, try to be clever about it. And then that way it doesn't get flagged or whatever. And the flagging system's getting really lame because I'm finding comments that say nothing wrong, that say, hey, this is rad and I want to do this. And it gets flagged for some reason. I don't know what the hell's going on. I have my settings set right and everything. So I don't know what's going on with that. But yeah. Yeah, I had no idea. Riches can delete comics, nab bad users, and post links on the chat. Yes. And that's why they have them. These are people, the people who have the wrenches are people I trust incessantly, like I said. Yeah. So I'm not worried about my wrenches at all. But I just wanted to say that, like, it might be tempting, like somebody says, something bad about me or Dennis. It's okay. It really is okay. I want people to feel free to say whatever the hell they want here. And if if they say something bad about Susan, okay, knock that thing out. But me or Dennis, we can take it. Listen, it's equally good or bad. I'll wake up in the morning and it's like, you got a face I want to punch. And then I'll wake up in the morning. It's like, you guys are rad. You're the greatest thing ever. I'm okay with that. Occasionally getting you have a face I want to punch is actually really good. It's really, really good. It reminds us that to some people, we have faces that people want to punch. There you go. I really only delete something if it's a personal attack or a threat. Same here, random. I have deleted 2 comments, but they were like straight up horrible, like utterly horrible. And it's too bad you can't message the person. I'd be like, could you, if you want to reword that, that's fine, but like, no, 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 no. Yeah, Nigel brought Savage. Oh, come on. Yeah, but I only think that when I look in the mirror. Nah, nah, we don't want to punch you, Nigel. We're all making plans for Nigel. That, what's that song, folks? He could be happy. He could be happy in this world. I'm waiting for random game user. She knows who that is. We're like the Nerdrotic Lantern Corp. Yes. uh, grabs an SA-80 rifle and hides under the sofa. Irk, yeah, because you've never heard that before, Nigel. Right? Uh, let's see if we can find some news. Does anything happen today since I've been talking? We can go for another half an hour. Then I have to go to the big meeting. Oh, look. I already did that one. Tom Cruise. Let's go to Bounding in the Comic. I got a Heroic Hollywood, of course, because Susan work goes there, and 1428 Elm for the horror. Then I kind of like mix it around between Bounding into Comics and Bleeding Cool, which are like two websites at the complete opposite end of the spectrum. So somewhere in the middle, you get the truth. And at least that's how I like to think. Oh my God, they're remaking Papillon. That's right, with Charlie Hunnam and Rami Malek. Was that necessary? Did Papillon need to be remade? Because that's a really good movie. But I mean, Rami Malek's in it. I can't hate anything he's in, so I might actually go and see it. But I mean, what could you add to that other than we're making a new one with two different actors, but it's going to be, it looks like it's the same movie, except Charlie Hunnam ain't no Steve McQueen, baby. I mean, I like you, dude, but you're good. I'm looking for, trying to find some good news. Okay. Did you guys see the dislike to like ratio on that Star Wars Resistance trailer? Holy shit. Okay, this is kind of bad news, but I want to point it out anyway. This was actually supposed to go with my Star Trek rant earlier. Totally missed that opportunity, but that is okay. If you go to the Star Trek YouTube channel, and where'd it go now? There it is. And you look at the Star Trek Discovery, which I can't show you. They'll freaking hit me with a copyright. You just have to trust me on this one. Wait, here. I'll screenshot it. I'll screenshot it and crop it. So if you go to the Star Trek Discovery trailer, okay, and you see that it's got 6,885,737 views. But did you notice the likes to dislikes? And it's got more likes, okay? It's got more likes. It's not really the amount, it's the amount. All right, so here we go. I've just stalled enough to where I can actually share that. And so remember I said, is that too small? Can you see that? 6 million people watch that video and it has 2,000 likes, or is that 2 million likes? No, that's 2,000. 2.9 thousand to 650, 2,000. So does it stop counting at that point? 2.9K people like that video out of 6. Maybe they disabled the likes. I thought that stood out. That was a little nuts. Or is 2.9 290K? No, I don't like this. I disliked it. I disliked it to 655. Let me find a video with like lots of likes. Wars. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go to something Star Wars. Yeah, maybe that's just No, yeah, okay, that is 2 point that yeah, that is 2,000. So yeah, if it's 100K, it'll say 100K, not 2.9. So yeah, it's yeah, that's crazy. So there's at least a growing disinterest in it. The people don't hate it, but oh my god, yeah, the Resistance trailer has 30,000 dislikes. It has to be shockingly low. I mean, that's the random though. That's the whole argument of bringing. Like, do you think? I don't think they were all planning on bringing Picard back. I think they were planning on doing Star Trek Discovery and the Khan thing. That's the one thing I heard. The Patrick Stewart thing came up awfully quick, and we want to all of a sudden fill the world with Star Trek. Is it because Star Trek Discovery is doing well, or we need something to do well? But yeah, I thought yeah, and I think that's the best judge. A YouTube video is a great judge of how things are doing. And yeah, 30,000 thumbs down. I mean, it's probably not even. I mean, it was just the Resistance trailer is not great. I'm not going to defend it at all, but it's just it's a cartoon, and it is weird that it's coming out at 10 o'clock at night on a school night. That's stupid. But the downvotes have actually nothing to do with the cartoon. It's got everything to do with backlash and stuff like that. Uh, uh, Yeah, it's another chat. I think the Picard coming back is the clickbait. Same with Spock. Yeah, it is. It is. So I'm gonna go. Where was the other news? I was trying to find. Um, I always look for Expanse news every day, but there really isn't any. There's no cast. There's no casting. There's nothing. Hey, there's merchandise now on T Public. That's good. They need to have more stuff. The Expanse for sure. Let me go. Oh yeah, this is always good. Hang on. Talk amongst yourself for a second. Kill the last half hour with something. Oh boy. Yeah, I don't want to kill the last half hour with that article. That'll piss me off. Uh, eh, eh, oh God. Do, do, do. I'll try this. There's either no news or it's something bad. Well, at least the second podcast hopefully will be amazing, fun news to talk about. Here we go. Okay. Oh, that's cool. They're going to be Deadline reports the European TV company Sky is developing a series based on H.G. Wells' The Time Machine from Teresa Ross and Juliet Howell of House Productions, screenwriter Nick Payne, and director Kibwe Tavares, sorry if I screwed up your name, are currently attached. I love The Time Machine. I freaking love. I even kind of liked the Guy Pearce movie. So yeah, that'd be fun series if it done right. Oh god, everything Stephen King's going to be made now. Like everything in the world is going to be made. There's so much out there to be made. Castle Rock is a good show, folks. Castle Rock's a good show. I can say with some certainty. So far, I'm liking it. It's grown on me quite a bit. It's still like seven. It's more of a 7.5 to 8 out of 10 now. So it's getting better. It's never been the actors. The cast is great, and I think that really helps the show. But the that mystery box shit, they are paying off stuff, so that helps a lot. They didn't go full mystery box. Uh, Robert Downey Jr. is going to do another Sherlock movie. Okay, I like Robert Downey Jr. Geeks Worldwide also has word Marvel will begin filming an unspecified Phase 4 movie next June in the United Kingdom. What do you think it'll be? Oh, Doctor Strange. Looks like he's finally going to get a sequel. British tabloid The Mirror has the word that Benedict Cabbage Patch will receive 7.5 million euros or pounds for his work on the Doctor Strange sequel, and it will affect Sherlock. Apparently, Sherlock will be delayed. What do you guys think? I liked Doctor Strange. It wasn't the greatest movie ever, but it was fun. I kind of wish Benedict would do his British accent because I think it affects his delivery. I don't think he has the best American accent in the world. That's just me, though. That's just me. I was talking to Dalton about that the other time. Happy Time Murders has a TV spot. That's funny. I can't wait for that movie. I don't watch The Magicians. Oh god, The Flash. The whole Nora West thing. I mean, like, I don't watch The Flash, but I watch Emergency Awesome's video, and it seems like there's a video every other week, like, who's Nora Allen or who's the mystery girl. I don't watch the show and I don't care. Killjoys is a show. So is Fear of the Walking Dead. Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's not a lot going on, but Time Machine's cool. I like the Time Machine. I do. What do you guys want to talk about the last half hour? Is Sky got anything to do with it? It will be dire, says Silver Spike. And Silver Spike 1, I believe. Silver Spike 1 knows what she's talking about. I thought Sherlock had ended anyway. I guess it didn't. Like, it's open-ended. I heard, I just read, that's where I read. I don't know that for sure. I didn't watch the rest of Sherlock because I don't know. Oh, I'm gonna get killed for this. It got boring for me. I don't know. Just too many breaks, and I'll catch it. Nick Cage and Con Air 2, The Criminals flew out in December. I would watch Nick Cage and Con Air 2, Rough Girl. Nick fucking Con Air. I love fucking Con Air. Love that movie to death. Talked about that many times. Both the Sherlock guys are big stars. They can't find the time to do Sherlock, but say they want to do it. Yes. And that's what happens, Slurmy Scott. And that's why, I mean, to bring it back to, that's why the Star Trek, the Kelvinverse crew was never going to make it. That's why they never should have gone to movies, because if it was successful, it was never going to work. And that's exactly what happened. Because if you're going to relaunch a Star Trek and relaunch a Star Trek crew and it not being a one-off, and you need to do multiple series of films, well, if it's a success, they're all going to become stars. It's going to be harder to get them back to do the multiple sequels, and they'll get delayed, and that's kind of what happens. That's kind of what happens. Gin Molten Altered Carbon blew me away. The Expanse should be showered with awards, but well, STD got some. But there's us. There's us who can appreciate that stuff. And so we will shower them with our love. And F the awards. We don't need their validation anymore. There might have been a time where the nerds, we're talking back in the 80s when nobody gave a shit. They kicked mud and dirt in our face, and no, they didn't give the movies that should have won the awards, and we really needed that validation. We don't now. They need our validation to exist, because if it wasn't for the MCU, what would be the biggest franchise? Fast and Furious. That's what you'd have, Hollywood. And you don't have much else. When the MCU goes, I mean, they see the writing on the wall. It's moving to television. Video games is a competition for all mediums. It's the biggest competition to comic books. It's competition to television. It's competition to film, and they are winning so much. Movies, you have to go to the theater. You have to do stuff. It's not as convenient as it used to be. You better start, doing on demand. You better start doing on demand or film, and honestly, TV's better. It's better storytelling right now. That's why we cover more of it. Hey, if Nick Cage came back and did Con Air 2, I'd be in line right now. I'd be in line right now. Phil Collins' Life Matters. Wasn't he thinking about doing a comeback and didn't? Thank you, Phil. Thank you. Nothing against you, buddy. but it's been a long time since Miami Vice, which is really what propelled Phil Collins. I mean, he was popular anyway, okay, but what really put him in the stratosphere was Coming in the Air Tonight during Miami Vice, and that really like blew him up. And then MTV showing him every second. He was actually kind of charming on camera. Remember when MTV had so much influence on everybody's life? Uh, not Phil Collins. Um, Stephanie B, what's up? How's it going? We are in the closing minutes of the live. I feel yeah, God, um, random does. At sometimes I can go 3 hours, and I think I can go more, and then sometimes it's like, "Ooh, I'm hungry." Oh man, and the voice starts going, especially if I'm going to do another one later. Oh yes, the guy who played Chekhov. Yeah, that was sad. Oh boy, taken out by a jeep. Um, yeah, but Jessica Parker Kennedy was on Black Sails, so it's a bit weird seeing her on the Flash. It is. CW TV shows have done, I think, damage to the superhero brand. I think they have. Nick Cage for Spock. Oh my god. I could see Nick Cage play. What would he be good in Star Trek? Oh, probably a Klingon, but like an '80s movie Klingon, not the current one. Movie people don't age. Yes, freaking Tom Cruise is. It was Dakota Stanton came in to a chat a couple chats ago. Rough Girl, you might have been here, and talked about Wilford Brimley in Cocoon was the same age as Tom Cruise is now. You're like, what? But it's true. It's crazy. Official Dougie J. Nick Cage for Harry Mudd. Hell yeah. Oh, you know how much I love Harry Mudd. They managed to make him more annoying than the original one. 6 degrees of Nick Cage. Uh, he would be a good Harry Mudd, though. Oh, how did I? You saw how I spent my birthday weekend, Jody. I live streamed, I worked, and I went to Santa Cruz with my son. And while my wife helped our older son pack up to get out, nothing special. I had some Thai food on my birthday. I love Thai food. I had some minced chicken, some spicy noodles. Yeah, it was really boring. It's 49. I turned 49. It was a day. I went to work, had a good time at work. It's cool going to work on your birthday because everybody like treats you extra nice. Not that they're bad at work, they're fine. I mean, it's just fine. But yeah, it was just a day at work. It was just another day. That's a great Oingo Boingo song, by the way. Just another day. Not a huge Nick Cage fan, says Mary Ashmead. A lot of people aren't. Um, he ruined my two Ghost Rider movies, but I still have to like him because it's Ghost Rider. I am 5 years your junior, says the Batman. Yes, I got to be younger than somebody. So you're 54. Battlestar Voyager, humanity's last hope for peace, all alone in the night, leading a ragtag fleet of survivors to long lost Terra Nova. How about Keanu Reeves as Spock? That'd be awesome, actually. I think he'd probably be a decent Spock. Be all, whoa, logical. That kid's never going to shake that. I call him a kid. He's older than me. Keanu looks good for his age. He does. He does. I like Keanu Reeves. I do. Martin Dawson is 52. See, I know my audience. Dalton Mortimer, you're like 25, right? Dalton, I'm gonna guess. Silver Spike says I'm a lot younger than Silver Spike. Oh no. I just act younger, Silver Spike. Nick Cage sold out, needed money to pay off huge overspending, says Slurmy Scott. Yes. And sold his comic collection. Oh, dude, you're a Coppola. Ask Francis for some money. Don't sell your comic collection. I don't know who coined it, but someone called Nick Cage's acting mega acting. That's funny. That's gonna call it from now on. Doug turns 50 in January. Yes. You're only a little bit older than me, man. James Hayes just says I'm too old. It's not the years, honey. It's the mileage. Ain't that right? What's up, hunky, chunky, funky monkey? I always see hunky, chunky, funky monkey in a lot of other chats. It's nice to see you in ours. Welcome, hunky, chunky, funky monkey. I love Feisty's all. I'm pretty young. You are feisty. Same birthday as Marilyn Manson and Robert Duvall, Doug. Yes, mine is the same as Robert Redford and Christian Slater. That's a polite way of saying over the top, says Silver Spike. Mary's young. She's 41. We're for the Nerdrotic is for the adulting nerd or the nerding adult or just adults. I have no idea. It's adult content, but not that kind of adult content. 150,000-year-old turned up with the last of the 12 colonies of humanity, says Nigel. Yep. You're the Nigel man or woman. I don't know. And Ed Norton, which says Michelle Flores. Is Ed Norton born on August 18th? Really? Cool. That explains a lot. And me. What? Say what? Oh, I think you mentioned that, Michelle. That's awesome. Guess I'll be the old man at 58, Fickle. You're not old. Nobody's old here. We're all young at heart. It's all good. But it really is about the mileage. Nerdoticon in 2020 at the Win. I don't know about the Win, rough girl. Maybe at the Millennium Fandom Bar. I think we could talk him into it. Otherwise, it'll probably be like a Scottish Rite Center, like way off the strip, and the AC barely works, and it'll be 121 degrees. We could all hike out to Area 51. That would be fun. Go on a little field trip to Area 51. It's wee James Marsters' birthday today. So shout him out, says Silver Spike. Happy birthday, James Marsters. Wee James Marsters. Yeah, I think it would be fun. Penn Farm Goal to go hike out to Area 51. Well, you got to hike to a hill, and it's really anticlimactic, I guess. You get there, you get to see the stuff, but yeah, I mean, I didn't see any flying spaceships or anything like that. It was a hell of a hike, and you get a little paranoid because there's a lot of signs telling you to go away. Can I wear my Soviet? Yes, Nigel, wear your Soviet uniform, or I can be, or I can promise I won't stand there or be conspicuous at Area 52. Yes, wear your Soviet uniform. I think I will too. Stephen Amell as Kirk. Stephen Amell as Kirk. Yeah. Why not? I think he would be good. The Batman. I think that's actually a pretty good call there. Older man on the best says random game user 42. Yeah, thanks. Thanks. Okay, folks, it's 5 minutes till. I'm gonna fire up the Patreon video and say my goodbyes before I can't eat because I'm supposed to have lunch. I'm buying somebody lunch. So let's go open up the video if it wants to open up anytime. And thanks everybody in the chat. And of course, like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, that's not working. Why is that not working? There we go. There we go. As I am my own producer, by the way. And it starts. These are our wonderful, lovely, and talented patrons. We have a Patreon. It's got multiple levels. At the end, you'll see 2 pictures of what you get at the $5 and $15 level. I'd like to thank everybody in the chat, which I will just find because I just lost you. We'll come back here. And that is going to be the Batman, the official Doug J, Nigel Brought Savage, James Hayes, Rough Girl, Tim F, How's Your Father, Silver Spike, Leonard Thomas III, Martin Dawson, Random Game User 42, Penn Farm Girl, Jody. I'm going to probably repeat some names here. Sorry. We get up here. We go to Michelle Flores, Stephanie B, Lane Batchelor, the great Lane Batchelor, Fickle, Jin Moulton. If I'm saying that wrong, I'm sorry. Hunky Chunky, the Hunky Chunky Funky Monkey. Welcome to our chat. That was awesome. See you. Slurmy Scott, How's Your Father? John Bellman was in here earlier. I will be thanking the super chats. Feisty Fan, if I said your name, Artemis Over Easy, the wonderful Artemis Over Easy. Movie Funobi was in here earlier. And we're going more, and we don't want to see that. There we go. And I'm trying to, that's as far up as it go. If I missed anybody, I do apologize. Our next video will be later this afternoon. There will be another quick live stream to let you know like what this whole fucking meeting was about and whether it's a thumbs up or thumbs down. We're also going to cover Better Call Saul tonight, 8:15 p.m. Pacific time. And then of course, Castle Rock is Tuesday night. These are all Pacific times, by the way, 10:15 Pacific. There is Wednesday and Thursday. I'm sure there'll be time for a live stream, or maybe we'll jump on Comics Divisions on Thursday like we used to do. And then, of course, Friday Night Live, Friday Night Tights with Susan and Dennis, our favorite show. And Sunday, there's a Patreon only hangout. And then it all starts all over again. The shows we are currently covering are Preacher for one more episode, Venture Brothers, Ancient Aliens, Better Call Saul, and Castle Rock. Not bad for a quiet summer. Upcoming shows are Jack Ryan, August 31st, The Gifted, September 24th, and before that, Iron Fist Season 2, September 7th. The Good Place is also going to be in there, and we are going to be taking a look at The Purge. I am very skeptical, but I will take a look at it, okay? So everybody, I hope you have a great day. I also want to end it with... Oh, Bad Bunny, what's up? We had a $20 super chat from John Bellman and a $2 super chat from Mary Ashmead. Thank you very much. And again, thank you for 5,000 subs. That is freaking incredible. I am so happy about that. So thank you again. And remember to watch good TV. I mean, we talk a lot of bad about Star Trek, but I'm going to keep doing that until it gets better. All right. But remember that there's just great stuff. You could completely ignore it. And there's The Expanse and all the TV shows I mentioned. There's so much good out there. And hopefully we help you find some of it. Again, like if you haven't seen Counterpart, go see Counterpart, please. I mean, that is good stuff. It is worth the $5 or $14 you got to spend on a streaming service. I know that gets expensive, but maybe you should cancel another one to check out Counterpart for at least a month. You can burn through 10 episodes of Counterpart in a month if there's a special. So yeah, really do that. So thank you again for everybody in the chat. Go to nerderotic.com for our, we schedule out our live streams, and I will see you guys later this afternoon. You are wonderful. This is the best chat on YouTube, and it really freaking makes my day talking to all of you. And Alicia, hello. Sorry. And Love Pawn. I'm trying to catch some names I missed. I said Bad Bunny. Okay. And Dalton Mortimer. Dalton Mortimer. Thank you. All right, everybody. May the small folks sing songs of your greatness. See you in a little bit.